Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unsanctioned, the School Board Report Unsanctioned. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about tonight that you wouldn't imagine we would be discussing in a modern world, right? But they do need to be discussed. It needs to be said. We're going to do it here on the show. I'm going to begin with a little prayer, and then we'll get right down into it. Lord, thank you for the opportunity. We say it every week, for the opportunity to just reach people in this way, because we live in the country where you can say the things you believe without being persecuted by the government. And we're at a time where that right, which was given to you, which was given to us by God, by you, is in grave danger. And we pray that we preserve all of our rights as laid out in the Constitution, because that is what makes this country different than any other on the planet. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen. All right, so, okay, let's talk about teacher pay for a minute, all right? So, teacher pay. This is a complicated issue. But the problem is as antiquated, and teacher pay is as antiquated as our school systems are. It's just a system which has broken down. Now, in the past, we had these unions, right? And the unions, like you guys know, the unions from the movies, from the mobster movies and all that, they had a job. The Teamsters, they had a job. Their job was to improve the lives of the workers that they represented. Well, that's not happening anymore. The unions now are essentially an extension of the political parties, namely the Democratic Party. They no longer are fighting for the benefit of their workers. Now they're fighting for a political agenda. And here's how we can prove that. Teacher pay has not gone up in decades in a way that resembles what they would deserve, right, for the level of responsibility that they have. It's just, that's the plain fact, right? It's the plain fact. So that's really important for us to understand. Now, it's not the union that has been increasing pay for its workers. It's the state, right? It's the state. It's local unions at the county level. They're doing that, although some of them are better than others, right? It's school boards, right, that are doing that. Especially in our case, it was a combination of one or two school board members, right? Namely myself and another school board member, who are really fighting hard to get the teachers a pay, providing them with the political leverage so that the local union here, who Janet Moody is the president of in Osceola County, used that leverage to push hard and gain the benefits. Now, the superintendent changed, and that made it a little bit easy. But to drive the point home that this is an antiquated problem that we're not dealing with is the following. Okay, number one, we cannot have billion-dollar surpluses in the state of Florida or in any state or in any government, and also not be paying the public servants the amount that allows them to survive being public servants, right? You're not going to get rich. That's not the goal here, to make anyone rich working for government. But you should also not have to be on food stamps if you're working for the government, right? I think that's something that we can probably all agree on. So we can't have billions of dollars sitting there. And here's why I say this. This is really important to me. You should not have, as a government, if you're taking in more money than you can spend, right, then you're not doing a great job overseeing money you're taking in. And I know that a lot of people are like, well, you know what? We should save money. It means that we're not wasting money. No, it doesn't. It means that we're collecting more than we need. And it needs to be like a zero-based process where they don't collect any more than they're telling you they're going to use. And they need to get your approval as a citizen to spend the amount that they spend and to collect the amount that they're collecting from you. So if we're paying money into the government and they're not spending it all, then they've collected too much, is my belief, right? But anyways, going back to pay, in Monroe County, and I'll tell you why this is the problem, right? All these things aren't working together. And that's the biggest problem about government, even in the best run state like Florida. Florida's a million times a better state to be in than California, right? We can probably all agree on that, unless you're a total buffoon. So Florida's well run. We have a bunch of surpluses. I don't think that that's a great thing, but at the same time, we have a bunch of surplus. We should not be, right? Or we should be having all these pieces work together. And here's evidence that it's not all working together. In Monroe County, they want to pay teachers $97,000. Imagine, they want to pay teachers $97,000. I think that's great. Okay, teachers are going to be making $100,000. Phenomenal. The problem is that in Monroe County, the average price of a home is $1 million. So they can't, I mean, so again, they have to live in food stamps making $100,000 just to live in the community that they're teaching in. What is wrong? These pieces are not working together. Now, there's all kinds of pieces that are not working well together, okay? Number one, and I'm going to say it a million times until I die, the politicians that we elect usually don't have a lot of talent. And when you have low quality talent, right, just like in sports, it's the perfect analogy here. When you have a bad manager, your team's not going to do well. When you have bad stars of your team's not going to do well, right? When you have people that don't perform, you're not going to do well as a group. And so we keep electing people based on how much money they can raise, not based on their talent. And when we do that, we get low quality talent. They make low quality decisions. And in the end, the people who are deciding that are the people that do have talent, which is the lobbyists and the people that get paid a whole bunch of money to control the situation of politics behind the scenes. And this is the problem, because the role between lobbyists and government is adversarial. They're pushing against the interests of the citizens, which is supposed to be protected by the government. And that situation there, you can't have one person who's got an IQ of 150 and then have a politician who has an IQ of 60. Let's look at the school board in Osceola County, right? It's a great example. So you can't have this level of talent up here and then they're controlling the people who have the talent here, but these people are the ones that are charged with protecting you. It's not going to work out in your favor. And as a citizen, I am completely opposed to that. Okay. So, but it's, again, just to make the point again, unions are not the ones who are driving the increase in pay. In fact, the union at the state level, at the national level, are absolutely worthless. The only function that they may serve that I can hear anybody make a good point on is that they have lawyers that defend teachers. But that doesn't happen enough, right? That doesn't happen enough to create a system where they're paying dues and they're making millions of dollars and they don't do anything. They don't serve their purpose. Otherwise, the teachers would be making $100,000 already, right? So anyways, in Monroe County, they want to pay them $100,000. It cost $1 million to buy a house in Monroe. Still not a viable set of circumstances. In Hernando County, they had a great idea. They are creating an associate teacher position where they're taking paras. They're paying them $20 an hour, which is more than they were making as a para. And then they're trying to put them on a track to become a teacher. Great idea. So desperation and parent involvement and citizen involvement, groups like Moms for Liberty, getting involved, creating demands on these politicians, and they're forcing the people with high IQs to come up with solutions that's actually going to create a better situation. So again, citizens coming in, great job. Your involvement as a citizen, which they have been getting involved in education, is what's driving this positive movement. In Osceola County, we've done a couple of things. I'm not going to get too much into it because I got a lot of Osceola stuff to talk about in the end. So if you're from Osceola and you want to hear about the Osceola, the tea that happened at the school board meeting last night, and there's a lot to talk about that school board meeting, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me talk about a couple of other issues. Let's talk about Florida. Although this is kind of focused around the country and just education in general. It's been in the news so much. So let me talk about this Florida African American history situation. Let me disclaim this. Number one, I have not read what it says exactly. Okay. However, one thing that we do know, okay, is that the people who wrote it, first of all, let's keep in mind, 2 African Americans with PhDs. Okay. So it's not some white guy in a closet smoking a cigar like a figure with a monocle trying to do harm to the Black community. That's not what's going on. It's 2 Black PhDs, serious academics. They're under a ton of attack over this, right? And let me ask you something though. One thing is very clear. If you're a black guy or a black woman and you're a Republican and you're smart and you speak out on your opinions and you're articulate, okay, which is rare these days, not for an articulate person who's black, but for an articulate person in general who's involved in the system somewhere. But anyways, so let's say you're a black professor and you have a PhD, you're super qualified, but you're a conservative. Your experience is going to be very uncomfortable, and I can speak this firsthand as a Hispanic person who is conservative. Whenever I speak, whenever I'm out there talking about conservative issues as a Hispanic, and there's other Hispanics there, right, especially the crazy ones that are Democrats, they jump on me right away. Oh, you're a Hispanic. You are this, you're that, whatever. You're not really Hispanic. You're not whatever. So imagine being black and being called Uncle Tom because of all this stuff. And they've done it to a whole bunch of people, right? They do it to Ben Carson, right? Ben Carson's a genius, legitimate, bona fide genius, brain surgeon, literally brain surgeon. And look how much trouble they gave him. They call him an Uncle Tom. He is an MFing brain surgeon, and they call him an Uncle Tom. Okay? Imagine somebody with the intellectual capacity of Nancy Pelosi calling Ben Carson an Uncle Tom. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Okay? Look at our state surgeon general, right? He's got an MD and a PhD. He's a I don't know if he's conservative actually, but he had views against the views of the Democrat machine regarding COVID. What did they do? They attacked him over and over, relentlessly. Okay, so to get back to the African-American history. Number one, I want to disclose I have not read it. So what I'm going to say is based on just my preliminary studying of the situation and hearing the pundits talk about it. Okay, number one, in my opinion, slavery should be, okay, let's agree on this as a body. Slavery, no silver lining, right? I think that we heard people say it already. There's no silver lining to slavery. There's just not, right? What we need to do is look at the slavery situation in the United States the way that we look at the Holocaust. At the same time, we need to acknowledge that slavery is not an American deal, right? We did not, in the United States, we did not improve slavery. We did not perfect slavery. We did not advance its place in the world. Slavery has a long history, and slavery exists today. Okay, so I don't want this to be like this is American history, right? My family comes from Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, we have an entire coast, right? Our country is split on two sides pretty much. On the Pacific coast, we have mostly Spanish colonized Latin America, right? Central America. On the Atlantic coast of the country, it's mostly black people, and those black people are of African descent, right? They're not African Americans because they're not American at all, but they're black people of African descent who were there based on the slave trade by the British. Okay, so this is not an American. So we got blacks in Nicaragua, which is a Latin American country, Central American country, where they speak Spanish, and they speak Spanish as well, and English, right? But they were brought there by the British. This is not, slavery is not an American characteristic. It's not an American deal, okay? And it's important for people to acknowledge that because we get all the blame for slavery, but it's just not an American thing. So we didn't come up with it. Okay, the problem with this whole coming up with a curriculum for African-American history is that there's no credibility anymore, right? Politicians have no credibility. Even the good politicians and the smart leaders like DeSantis, no one can argue that he's not smart. The guy went to Yale, okay? He's a lawyer. He's a smart guy. You can tell that he's smart. He hits the policy on the bullseye. He's a smart guy. But even he suffers with credibility on the right and the left, right, with certain decisions that he makes in Osceola County. That I think it's a very, very close to my heart, and it's a situation where we all understand that, right? The people on the right in Osceola County. On the left, of course, they don't care because they don't have any credibility, right? And politicians in general have no credibility, even the best ones, which is what my point it was. But neither do academics. Before we used to believe a college professor, but look at how crazy college professors have become. Right? They're nothing but ideologues. We don't trust them. Look at what they're doing. They're telling all of our kids that they can change their gender. That's not scientific, but they're doing it anyways. We'll talk a little bit about that later, right? So here's something I just want to this is what the law says. This is a quote out from the law, okay, from the curriculum. This is actually from the law in HB 7. Classroom instruction and curriculum may not be used to indoctrinate or persuade students to a particular point of view inconsistent with the principles listed in HB 7. You can't say anything bad about that, okay? There's nothing good about fighting against that point of the curriculum or the law, okay? There's just not. And another reason why we can't trust our academics, they're trying to tell us that Cleopatra was black. No, she's not black. Cleopatra was not black. Okay, we got to be honest about all of our history. If we can't trust the people in the academic world to tell us the truth, and they're just gonna, like we have that whole whitewashing thing, right? Well, now there's a blackwashing movement, and they want to just pretend that everything is different. Well, it's not. It's not. Why can't we just be honest about history? History is what it is. Use what we've learned, right? Tell the truth, and then move on. That's all. Okay, so that's a big problem in my mind. And a lot of these things, I think a lot of the people, which I think I even have, maybe I did get it here. So yeah, I'm going to share this screen here. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so this is an article from Education Week. All right, and they're saying that there's one of the things that they're complaining about here is teachers don't have a code of ethics. They must follow the code of ethics. If you do not believe ethical, or say here, let me find out the point that I'm saying. There's one point here. They're trying to infer institutions as global phenomenon. Therefore, the U.S. part in slavery really wasn't that bad. That's not true. They're not doing that, right? I'm trying to find. I read in the latery. I read earlier that what this person was saying is that. Oh, forget it. I lost it, but that's my bad. I think Kamala Harris had some remarks in here too, saying that it was about rape and this and that and so on. Okay, that's fine. But okay, so anyways, one of the complaints of the academics here, and I'll just leave it on the page here and go up, was that it doesn't include the fact that North Africans went into Spain and they did this and so on, and that Egypt, this and that. Well, here's the thing, Egyptians, right? African Egyptians, they're not even black. They're their own ethnic group, right? So they trying to consolidate all of this information about what the situation is, right? We're not educating people very well because nobody knows what the truth is, apparently, right? The North Africans that went into Spain, for example, were Muslim, were Moors and stuff like that. They were Arabs and Moors and stuff. It wasn't just, this is not a black thing. And so what happens is that people in the United States are fighting over ethnic groups, right? And they're fighting, saying that, oh, well, these were my people did this, but they don't even know their own history. And it's a shame that this is becoming a political issue. It should not be. But anyways, enough time about that. Last thing I'm going to say about the African-American thing is that the whole point about, we already mentioned, there's no silver lining to history. And I think that what they were trying to do was say that Black people are more resilient because of it. I think that was the point that they were trying to say. I don't know why they haven't articulated that and said the point is that they got out of slavery more resilient. They already knew that they weren't, that they were great and so on and whatever, but now they're more resilient as a response, which so is everyone who overcomes some kind of tragedy. So anyways, okay, so let's talk about something else, okay? And then, I wanted to mention about Kamala Harris, but everything she touches turns to crap. And I don't think that Kamala Harris is a great part. I think she was challenged to debate and so on and whatever. Let me talk about somebody else who everything they touch turns into 3 points on the basketball field, but in their personal lives, or I guess with some kind of something else, it doesn't do so well. And here's that. Let me show you here. Go to the next story here. So LeBron James did a public-private partnership, right, with the public schools, and he created a school called I Promise. Well, apparently he broke that promise because those kids have not been passing their standardized tests, and they haven't in years. So I think that the article was saying that the last time they passed their standardized exams were in the 3rd grade, and now they're in the 8th grade. So it's been a long time. Apparently, King James, self-proclaimed King LeBron James, has realized that educating kids is not as easy as throwing a free throw, or shooting a free throw, or making a slam dunk, but it's really ridiculous that this guy, why do we have, wait, if you're a basketball player, okay, he's not the smartest guy. It's obvious. He's a great businessman, apparently. You don't have to be the smartest business guy to be a good businessman, but in the end, he's not the best educator in the world. Let's say that. Because his school is failing the kids, and it just shows that just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean that you should get involved in the business of professionals. Put it that way, right? So I just thought that was very funny. That was worth mentioning. A little bit of basketball talent does not equate to educating kids. So this is a job that the teachers are doing and the educators are doing is far more complex, far more difficult, and celebrity does not make a good educator, right? Although you would think so, the way that TikTok is taking over the world. Now let's go to the next story. Okay, so let's talk about what it amounts to a crime. Okay, a criminal. In my opinion, this is just a criminal. Leah Thompson. Everybody knows Leah Thompson's story, right? I got a little video to show about this. And here's the problem. Leah Thompson has been provided what is essentially a license to victimize women as long as he swims, right? He was extended, like, how James Bond has a license to kill. Well, Leah Thompson was provided a license to sexually victimize women by undressing in front of them. And let's just watch this video, and then you guys tell me what you guys think. To me, I'm telling you, it's absolutely brutal and disgusting. And instead of, he should be having to register as a sex offender, not winning any gold medals.
Dream that came true when I began swimming for the University of Pennsylvania. While I am not an NCAA champion, I hold the New England Independent School League record in the 400-yard freestyle relay. While I am not an NCAA champion, 2017. In September of 2021, Leah Thomas began participating as a member of the Penn women's team. Leah, formerly Will, had personal best times in every freestyle event that were faster than the women's world records. Once the season began, Thomas was leading the country in multiple events, while only placing in the top 500 in those events on the men's team. Thomas later became an NCAA champion in 500-yard freestyle, the first NCAA champion in our women's team history program. While many of you already know this, what you do not know is the experiences of the women on the University of Pennsylvania swim team. My teammates and I were forced to undress in the presence of Leah, a 6'4" tall biological male, fully intact with male genitalia. 18
fully intact, as if you have to describe that. It's horrendous.
Opted to change in bathroom stalls, and others used the family bathroom to avoid this. When we tried to voice our concerns to the athletic department, we were told that Leah's swimming and being in our locker room was a non-negotiable, and we were offered psychological services to attempt to re-educate us to become comfortable with the idea of undressing in front of a male. To sum up the university's response, we, the women, were the problem, not the victims. We were expected to conform, to move over, and shut up. Our feelings didn't matter. The university was gaslighting and fear-mongering women to validate the feelings and identity of a male. In an attempt to voice my concern about the situation we were forced into, revealing the unjust and unfair treatment, I wrote an op-ed for the Daily Pennsylvanian, the soon-run newspaper. I approach this from a scientific, statistical perspective where I use my engineering background to discuss how Y chromosomes cannot be changed by any surgical procedure or systemic therapy. This biological fact lends itself to athletic advantages that cannot be mitigated by lowering testosterone levels, which are readily apparent in sports competitions and locker rooms. The Daily Pennsylvanian published my article on the evening of February 10th, 2022. Only a few hours later, my case was retracted. I was given no notice nor reasoning.
Wow.
Again, I was silenced for my dissenting viewpoint and felt my First Amendment rights were denied by my university. This is representative of a greater issue, the destruction of free speech. Today, any discussion maintaining the sanctity of women's spaces is labeled transphobic, bigoted, and hateful.
Have you noticed how all of these problems, right? All of these issues, all of them, everything that we've talked about today, everything that we're going to talk about tonight, everything that we talk about on unsanctioned in general, everything always comes back to our rights. You got to notice that at some point. That's the biggest thing here. It's our rights that are being violated. There's a movement in our country to take away our rights. That's what it's about. And they're doing it in ways. They're not just doing it. It's like a battle, right? They're not just going in one direction where you can see it happening and you're going to defend it. No, they're trying to outflank. They're going around the edges. They're trying here. They're probing. They're checking the perimeter. They're trying to check here and check there. And okay, well, they won't let me do. They're going to work on this. They're going to work on the Second Amendment. No, they're going to do free speech. They're going to do freedom to assemble. They're attacking your rights in all different areas because all they need is a crack in the Constitution to completely rip that document apart. All they need is for Americans to give up one of our rights to establish the precedent that all of our rights can be taken away. That's what they're doing. And that's why every single one of these arguments, when you hear these witnesses come before Congress and they're like, you know what? I could be a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I'm the most leftist person in the world, but I don't want my rights violated, right? We've had Democrats come to the school district and talk about the same thing. And that's an issue. It's always about their rights. And a lot of Democrats, they're like, I don't care because it doesn't impact me. It goes with my ideology. But then the minute their impacts are individually impacted, all of a sudden things change, right? All of a sudden they need help, right? And it's happened. It's happened. I've had the parents come to me and say, listen, my parental rights have been violated. I'm a Democrat, but my parental rights have been violated. My child's rights have been violated. And so I need your help because I went to the other school board members and they don't care. Well, of course not. No politician cares. Politicians just don't care in general. Why don't they care? Because it's too hard to fight. It's easier to just be quiet, and every once in a while you can get something done for somebody and just be a general dirtbag, as we'll see later on in the show. But let me get back to her comments.
What's bigoted and hateful is the discrimination against women and the efforts to erase women and our equal opportunities, dignity, and safe spaces. One might ask, why do I speak so passionately about issues that seem hypothetical, or some may perceive as only impacting a small number of women? This is not hypothetical. This is real. I know women who have lost roster spots and spots on the podium. I know women with sexual trauma who are adversely impacted by having biological males in their locker room.
Women who have dealt with sexual trauma having to undress and witness a man undress in front of them, a man who's 6'4", fully intact, quote unquote.
I know this because I am one of these women. I was sexually assaulted on June 3rd of 2016. I was only 16 years old. I was able to forgive my attacker. The violence against women still exists. Let us not forget the viral Me Too movement that empowered female victims to speak up. It casts a spotlight on the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and abuse, including in scholarly and educational institutions. Individuals on this committee have previously stated violence against women is all too common. I am grateful for those members who have brought awareness to violence against women in the past, but unfortunately, there's still much to be done. As a sexual assault survivor, Many policies pushed today completely ignore my experiences and many women like me. I ask the members of this committee, please consider this issue outside the lens of political affiliations and understand the true impact of ignoring the realities of womanhood. Future generations depend on us. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Good morning, Chairman Johnson and Ranking Member Scanlon.
Wow. So there you go. I mean, that's pretty impactful, right? That's pretty, oops, sorry, let me pause this here. That's pretty impactful. You have a woman who was sexually assaulted, being forced without her consent, being forced to undress and witness a man. She doesn't want this to happen. She's being assaulted again. And that's what I'm saying, that this guy has a license to be a criminal, a sexual criminal guy, a criminal sexual offender, right? Because that's what would happen. How is this not public indecency? How is this not indecent for this to happen in front of you? It's incredible that we're allowing the victimization of our young girls and women. It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, I'm in disbelief. I have three girls. I have three girls. And my God, if they were put in this situation, I don't know that I could allow them to swim without just going crazy over the fact that they're being victimized to suit someone else's mental illness or somebody else's political ideology. It is unforgivable. It is unforgivable. Okay, so speaking in regards to unforgivable, let's move on. All right, let's move on to Osceola County. So I wish that I had the little unicorn that Tom's got. I don't have the little unicorn, but let's talk about Osceola County. Okay, so we're going to talk about three things that happened at the Osceola County School Board meeting. Again, please like and share. It's important that we get the word out, right? So here's the three things. Number one, which I thought was important because I'm making a point. I want everybody to understand this. I thought and prayed and went into deep consideration over whether or not I was going to put forward a specific resolution, right? And the resolution, let me read it, in fact. This resolution was a resolution where the school district would have to accept responsibility for something that it did wrong. Okay? So the school district made a mistake. They made a mistake. There's absolutely no denying it. You can deny it, I guess, right? Because they have no problem. They have no shame. Where there's no shame, you can deny anything, right? Not accepting accountability. That was the previous regime. In fact, that was their entire identity, was not acknowledging what they would do wrong. And so anyways, so here's my resolution. And I thought that this was pertinent. And I'm going to actually, I could go play the video. In fact, let's do that. Let's go back. I'm going to play the video and you guys can hear the resolution. I hope that the sound quality is okay. I'm going to bring it up. So bear with me as I pull this up here. This is going to be the actual video here that we're watching, the school board meeting at this time.
Mr. Arguello, you have the first presentation up.
I do. Thank you. So the first presentation is a resolution that I've discussed here before, and I'll read the resolution before I do. Let me make the following remarks. A while back, this school district did a terrible thing. And this school board did a terrible thing. They answered questions of their effectiveness, their conflicts of interest, and our district's lack of performance by weaponizing the district and allowing a former vendor who should have never been allowed to represent our district weaponize our district at great expense, spending tens of thousands of dollars on sham investigations. Each one of those investigations led to a result that seemed already predetermined. And then they came back to this school district, to this school board, And then the school board voted to send 2 letters to the governor of the state of Florida requesting action by the governor of Florida. The investigations were referred to the Commission on Ethics, where they did a months-long, very thorough, very complete investigation, and they found that there was 0 probable cause. And further, they found that every act that was accused of was well within my right as a school board member. Things like using a letterhead that had only my name on it to put out information to the public and express my thoughts while I was representing my community. Each and every charge was found to have no probable cause. Therefore, I think it is absolutely appropriate to accept responsibility and move on by doing the appropriate thing and correcting its mistake. And let me mention lastly, before I read the resolution, responsible political leadership is about being responsible after you're elected for the things that you may not have begun and things that you may not end. That while you are elected and while you have raised your hand and sworn an oath to protect your community and to do the right thing, you are responsible for making the decision that a good leader would make on behalf of the community. Therefore, I propose the following resolution. Whereas Jon Arguello, Osceola County School Board Member for District 3, was duly elected and has been on the school board since November 2017, 2020, and whereas it is the responsibility of school board members to abide by the constitutions of the United States and Florida, and whereas the statutory duty of school board members is to provide oversight of the school district on behalf of the communities they serve, and whereas the school district of Osceola, based on faulty information, censured Mr. Arguello, wrote 2 letters against school board member Arguello to the governor asking for his consideration and involvement, and whereas all complaints to the Commission on Ethics have either been seen as unfounded to begin with or were investigated thoroughly and completely with no probable cause found, and whereas the Ethics Commission found Mr. Arguello was well within his right to use his own letterhead as a duly elected official to communicate to the community in the manner he did, and now therefore be it resolved that the school board of Osceola County rescind the 2 letters written to the governor accusing Mr. Arguello of wrongdoing, adopted by the board of directors of the Osceola County School District, et cetera, et cetera. So I will make the motion myself to approve this resolution and correct this wrong that it did.
Does this item require a vote because it's just information? It doesn't say it's action.
Well, it's a resolution. We would have to accept the resolution by motion.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely. It should be an action item. So no 1 second.
Now listen to what this hypocrite says.
Was found to be incorrect in its assumptions. No one will correct the record, and they will allow the school district to be weaponized for political purposes.
That's not the dummy I'm
That's
talking
very
about.
interesting. When you guys decide to run for re-election or another office, I think that many of the people in this community will hold you out for not only not being able to accept accountability for your mistakes, but to fail to do the honorable thing over and over and over again.
For your comments, Mr. Melendez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Arguello, I can acknowledge what the board, has done wasn't of the right outcome. The only issue is a technicality. I'm rescinding a letter that has already been sent.
Listen to this guy. What is he thinking? I can acknowledge that we did the wrong thing, right? He's acknowledging that we did the wrong thing, that the board did the wrong thing, but he doesn't want to correct it because it was already done. The mistake was made. That doesn't make any sense. In what realm does that make sense? That's the whole point of rescinding a letter, right? When you type something, we have a backspace, right? Backspace. It doesn't mean that it was never written incorrectly. It doesn't mean that you didn't make a mistake. It means that you backspace. And this guy refuses. This guy is the biggest slimy, This is the guy right now. He's got his own legal issues. He's just, I mean, he's got his issues. Okay, this guy's got his own issues. That's not what the show is about, but he's got his issues. And his issue, oh, well, I say it in the meeting. Let's keep listening.
Instead, I would refer to a senior resolution saying, hey, we acknowledge that you are clear of it and move forward kind of like with that, as opposed to just sending a letter that was already done. And so, like, so to speak, the damage was already kind of created, and the ethics committee did its job and cleared you. And so, just more like a positive resolution saying, hey, we acknowledge that, nothing was there. I'm not exactly sure what this accomplishes, because the ethics committee does do that. And so, that's one of my concerns.
It's so hard for the Osceola County politicians to do the right thing. They just can't do the right thing. Look how hard it is. Okay, so where's the other? Okay, so but what would you expect, right? You have a bunch of radical Democrats, right? A bunch of radical Democrats on here. So that's what you would expect. Of course, they're not going to help me. They made the mistake. They politicized just like the King Democrat Joe Biden, right? They radicalized, they weaponized the government. These guys did the same thing. They used the same thing. Now they got caught. Fortunately for me, I'm already done with that. They already went. They lost at the Commission on Ethics and so on. But they don't fix it? Okay, fine, radical. But wait, there's supposed to be a Republican on there also, right? Named Erica Booth, who's running for state house, right? Now, she's only muttered, I'd say, like a few words. Like she's muttered 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 words the entire time she's been elected. Even now she doesn't. She just sits there, like staring at the ceiling, waiting for a butterfly to come floating across. I don't get it. Anyways, let's keep listening. Here I am about to continue my crusade.
That comment in and of itself is so demonstrable of failure of leadership of people who are elected who can't do the right thing, even when it's presented to them on a platter. It's not only it's an act of political cowardice to not accept responsibility and to say, oh, well, on a technicality, I'm not going to do the right thing. It does not absolve me from doing the right thing, nor does it absolve you of the responsibility to the community to write the record, which you guys made a negative mark. And here's the thing. I noticed also that there was no investigations, no inquiries, no other documentation, no letter to the governor regarding another school board member's legal issues right now that are far worse than anything I have ever been accused of, right? Far more detrimental. Same thing, a person in the community made a complaint, right? That no action has been taken. No action has been taken regarding that. Nothing's being written to the governor for something quite serious, far more serious, far worse, a far worse display of character, a much larger violation of the community's expectation for behavior of a school board member, that no one in their mouths for that. So again, the problem is that
that's the legal issues that I'm talking about.
The right thing is served to you on a platter, and I think it speaks volumes of your character. And when you guys ask the community to believe in your leadership, they know exactly what they can believe in. Nothing but fake campaign mailers telling lies about your parental rights, accreditations, and responsibilities, and so on and so forth. If you guys were to be honest for a moment, you guys wouldn't be here today. And wow, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And not only did I already know I was going to lose this vote before I even brought it up, all I wanted to do was provide the community an opportunity to see exactly what a lack of leadership, courage, and conviction you guys have to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, the woman says. So listen, here's the thing. These guys are a bunch of slime balls, right? They're a bunch of slime balls. I knew I wasn't going to win that vote, but the bottom line is that they refuse to acknowledge when they do something wrong still, even though we have a new superintendent, right? Because that was part of the regime. That was the culture that the Empress of Osceola created, was this regime where we don't accept that we make any mistakes. Everything that we do is great. We continue to give ourselves awards, and then we'll deal with the aftermath when we all get caught 20 years down the road. Well, that's exactly what these snake oil dealers are doing, right? They're like, just keep going, don't stop, keep going, because if you stop, you get caught, right? So that's what it is. That's all they are. They have no conviction, no honor, no credibility, all four of them. One of them is running for District 35 State House seat. So, I mean, she says she's a conservative. You see it here. She's never been a conservative in any way, shape, or form. She's absolutely not a conservative. She is a straight up, I do what I'm told by whomever is telling me. And you'll see that we prove it in a moment here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is taxes, right? So let me pull this up. I'm going to pull up the video here. This is at, okay, so 153. If you guys want to go back and watch the video, I'm going to kind of scroll up to 153 in the meeting. 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds. We're talking about millage, okay? So millage rate. So essentially, here's what happens with millage rates. I'm going to keep that one up. There's no reason to change that ticker, right? Don't change any of those tickers. But essentially, they were going to do millage, right? We're going to approve it. And the district is coming and they're saying, our chief financial officer is saying, here's what we need. We need you to approve this. And so what happens here, right? She goes through an entire presentation. Erica Booth does not open her mouth once. Does not open her mouth, right? They ask for a vote, a roll call vote. Everybody says yes. She says no. Why did she say no? Here it is right here. I'm going to play it for you guys.
That. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign? Okay.
Like a hand up, it looks like you got it.
Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay, so let me go back. Oh, I guess I skipped over it because I was just going to talk about it. Okay, so let me go back. That clip here we'll play in a minute. So essentially, she comes back. She says, the chief financial officer says, okay, so we need a roll call vote. We all do it. Arguello, Melendez, et cetera, down the line. Everybody says yes. Erica Booth says no. But the entire time, she hasn't opened her mouth to say one thing. And then when she voted no, she didn't say, hey, I'm going to vote no because we need to do this or we do that. No, she was told to vote no, in my opinion, right? Not only was she told to vote no, but it's for a political reason. She's trying to run. So she doesn't want to be on the record as voting for this tax increase, right? A millage increase. So this is, it's just, she has no shame. She has no shame, right? So don't let her get away with it. Don't let her tell you, watch, I guarantee you, she's going to put out a mailer. Now, everybody in District 35, keep this in mind. She's going to put out a mailer right now, right? In the coming weeks that says, I voted no on the tax referendum. I voted no to increase tax records. Okay. But she didn't say anything. She didn't speak out against it. So it's lies. It's just straight up lies that she's feeding you. A moral lie at the very least. So she's full of it. Don't fall for that stuff. Okay. Let's go to the last issue of the night. We're at 53. I'm going to try to finish this here quickly. Okay, if I can. All right, so this video that we just saw, it's 153.45. So here's the next issue. This is a serious issue. SROs. Okay, so SROs. Okay. We had to sign our contract. They were supposed to start immediately. The district failed in that they didn't have this contract way ahead of time. They didn't negotiate a good deal way back then, right? So what they did, they left it until the very last minute. It's here at the school board. Now we have like an emergency where we have to figure out a contract. School starts in a week. All this stuff is going crazy. Here's the problem with that. The school board just voted, and Erica Booth just voted to allow guardians instead of law enforcement at your schools. Now, the two Democrats are fine with this anyways. We're doing what they were told to do. You're going to vote on this, right? You're going to do what you're told. Okay, fine. Erica Booth is like, oh, my election, what am I going to do? Okay, so she votes with me, right? So that she can say she voted to force, because she put out a mailer already that said, I want a SEO, a law enforcement, I want SRO, law enforcement officer at every school. Last night, she just voted against having an SRO at every school in every instance. She did that last night. So here's the first vote. Okay. And then she goes back and forth. Why? Because she doesn't know what to do. This is what you're going to get in Tallahassee if you send her to Tallahassee. If you send Erica Booth to Tallahassee, you're going to get another worthless politician, an empty suit, even more of an empty suit than Fred Hawkins. And I did not think that was possible. I simply did not think that was possible, but it is possible. And here's why. Let me show you.
You did make a motion, right? Oh, I am making up stories.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the first time that you're making up stories.
A motion by Board Member Cahill. Reminding us that school fest starts next week. I will second that. Board, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Oh, did you hear that? You gotta be careful because you miss it. All those in favor? Aye. The two hardcore Democrats. All those opposed? Aye. Arguello. Aye. The other, the spineless wonder over there, Melendez. And then you hear, aye. Whispered. Erica whispers, not knowing what to do, right? She's in a terrible position. She has no idea what she's doing. She's like afraid to vote yes, afraid to vote no. She votes with us because she knows she's on the hook for what she said. SROs in every school, a police officer in every school. She sent out mailers. She broke her pledge. She knows that she's in trouble, right? Okay. I'm not going to play it again. I don't need to, right? I'm going to go to 154. Let's hear what this crazy person has to say, and then we're going to go into the next thing.
Like a week, basically, we just took out, okay, all right.
This agreement is set to execute tomorrow. We would have to start all over again.
Why are they sending a contract to the board a day before the contract is supposed to execute?
We already voted. Okay, I'm gonna reopen, who can do it, because she and I were the ones who said yes, so who can actually rescind their vote or whatever? Okay, ones who voted no. I'm going to reopen discussion. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor to reopen discussion? Aye. Thank you. Vice Chair Booth?
She didn't call the nay vote.
Okay, nay for Board Member Arguello. Vice Chair Booth, you have the floor. For Dr. Shanna and then to her attorney.
Why? You motioned. Erica, you motioned for it. So you can't speak out about it? You don't know why you did? You're gonna pass the buck to somebody else? This is what you're gonna get in Tallahassee. You're gonna get a person who does not have the capacity to fight for the citizens of Osceola County and Orange County. That's what you get with Erica Booth. She just passes the buck. She doesn't know. She doesn't have the policy expertise. She doesn't have the educational expertise. She has no expertise to be there. And people are going to vote for her. Why? Because she is the swamp. We're talking literally, Tallahassee wants to pick the person who will do exactly what they say under all circumstances without failing. And that's what they'll get with Erica Booth. Is she going to protect you guys here in Osceola County? Heck no, she's not going to protect you. Is she going to protect you guys in Osceola County? No, she's not going to protect you. Listen to this. She has a chance. Okay, to say what she believes, to open her mouth and speak her position, and she fails.
She said yes, so who can actually rescind their vote or whatever? Okay, once voted no. Motion to reopen discussion. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor to reopen.
Okay,
discussion?
fine. She motioned.
Thank you. Vice Chair Booth, you have the floor. Okay, nay for Board Member Arguello. Vice Chair Booth, you have the floor. For Dr. Shanna.
I defer to Dr. Shanoff.
Dr. Shanna.
I defer to Dr. Shanoff and the attorney. The attorney's like, I'm not a board member. What am I supposed to say? Why would the attorney have anything to do? She's looking to be saved. This is somebody who does not have the capacity to represent our community in Tallahassee. It's clear as day. This is somebody, she's never going to get any better than this. She does not know the laws, the policies. She does not have the credentials to go. This is somebody who got her way in life, in my opinion, because of what family she married into or what family she belongs to. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. She's never going to be able to fight for the people of Osceola County. It will never happen. And if you vote for her, you deserve for her to be your representative. That's the bottom line here. Okay, let me get so reopen or further. Okay, well, that, you know what? I'm not going to go on any further. I'm going to say that and leave it there. I think that you get the point. Erica Booth already is breaking promises. Number one, let me make this clear. I put out a video earlier that talked about this. Erica Booth is not the conservative on the school board. She's not even a conservative on the school board of Osceola County. If you fall for the trick that she says she's this big conservative, big Second Amendment, big whatever, no. If she says I'm for having an SRO in schools, she voted against that tonight. If she says I'm against having these gender ideologies and sexualized materials in schools, no. Why? Because for years, I've been fighting this battle for 3 years now. And in 3 years, I never heard Erica Booth open her mouth to fight against any of those issues. In fact, she fought against parental rights to do it because she voted against me every single time. Okay, she voted against all any issues. She's only voted twice. She's only voted twice in a positive way, and one of those times was after she declared for her run for House District 35, and obviously she voted because of House District 35. And right now, she almost had a good vote, although it was because of House District 35, but then she took it back and rescinded the good vote, and then she voted with the Democrats anyways to allow to take a cop out of schools. So you have it. We're at an hour and 1 minute. I'm going to leave it there. Listen, comment and share, please, the show. I would appreciate it very much. I did my best to kind of keep all this technology in order. I didn't have it as well as Tom does, Citizen Tom. Citizen Tom has a whole system and all kinds of crazy things going on and videos and whatever. I tried to do a little bit just so that it would be a little bit more dynamic. But please, a couple of things. Number one, you have to go and watch these school board meetings. Come to the school board meetings if you possibly can, whatever county that you're in. Go and watch and observe. Don't believe what they tell you. Do your research. Research the companies they're contracting with. Research the people that they're buying things from. Research everything. And if they tell you something cannot be done, they're absolutely lying. I can tell you that, because there's always something that can be done. If nothing, even if when you're one vote, even though you're one vote, you should be able to articulate your position and speak on behalf of the community. Don't let your politicians not do that. Okay, that's all I got for you tonight. Thank you. God bless you. Please share, follow. I would appreciate it very much. Until next week, or until 2 weeks from now when we do another school board report. Stay tuned. Tomorrow night, we have another episode of Unsanctioned. Should be a good one. So please, Tom and I are working very hard to bring you Unsanctioned tomorrow night. Please watch. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great night. Hope you're all well. See you tomorrow night for Unsanctioned.